Hello, good morning, Glenn Gully. My name is Daniel Perez. I will be talking about the four E's of Quizziz. So I'm going to share my screen here. Unfortunately, I don't have a student right now. So let me just share my screen. PIDP 3240, Media Enhanced Learning, the four E's of Quizziz. Before I start, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the Musqueam, Indian Band, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples on whose unceded ancestral and traditional territories where we live and work. VCC is a safe place for all. On top of that, in an inclusive classroom, using each student's preferred names and pronouns is essential for showing respect and creating a supportive environment. This helps everyone feel valued and included. Please share any preferred names and pronouns that you would like and let me know how we can make or how can make our classroom safe and welcoming space for everyone. Your input help us ensure that everyone can thrive. Objective for today is number one is what is Quizziz. Number two is strengths and weaknesses related to the four E's of Quizziz. And grading the four E's of Quizziz with rationality. Question is, what is Quizziz? It is an online tool that they use, okay? An interactive online tool that enables teachers and students to develop and engage in interactive quizzes and educational games through cloud form. Okay, we'll talk about through internet. It aims is learning and enjoying and captivating these gamification elements. Now I'm going to talk about the strengths. Okay, I divided them into three parts, which also can elaborate what Quizziz is. Number one is interactive, as you can see in the diagram here, right? It could be a multiple choice question. You know, it has vast library of pre-made quizzes already inside this software. Also with different various subject that you can interact or you can um, put on when you're making your quizzes as an instructor. Student can participate in these quizzes in real time or in their own pace as a homework as well. It is also promotes competition among students and promotes collaboration, so that they can work together, fostering a positive learning, as I mentioned here. It is an enjoyable game platform, as I mentioned, because it also includes points. Okay, you can actually put points when you have, for example, a multiple choice question or a true or false, perhaps, making the learning process more competitive and enjoyable. Okay, they also have an option, which one that I really like, which is the paper base. So the paper base is basically you as an instructor, you will be printing the QR code, okay, for and delivering. Each student must have this QR code, and then it has the multiple choice question, usually with A, B, C, D, and then the student will flip it while you are scanning it using your phone. It's like, in the grocery when they're scanning the grocery that you got or you bought. Okay, so it's the same analogy when you do it. So it's an enjoyable game platform. Accessibility. Now we're talking about accessibility because this is accessible to smartphones, tablets, or computers anywhere, as long as they download the app, or they don't really have to download the app because it is in the internet, which I will explain it later on. Okay. So I mentioned here earlier the live cloud-based game because the students must require to join the code. So in the beginning, as you can see in the diagram here or the animated photo, as an instructor, you will create the game. Okay. Once you create the game itself, the software will give you a join code, as you can see, I can mention here. This is actually how it would look like, when you finish creating the game. And there's gonna be like a code number, and that number will be given to the students. So the students will go to the website and they're gonna type the number, and of course you're gonna wait for the students. You're gonna wait for their names to pop here. That's why it's a live cloud-based game. Usually, what I love to do is I project this in a projector, so it's a bigger screen. Okay, so it's very interesting. Although there's strengths, there's weaknesses. Number one is limited access. Let's say for example, there's, you know, like there's a computer crash or computer issue, virus, or internet problem. So it could be a limitation in accessibility. It is time consuming. I totally agree about this because I remember during the initial setup or when I was creating quiz, the instructor, like as an instructor, um, I really want to make sure that this aligns with my lecture, the objective of my lecture, before I'm able to teach it or to intervene this to my students. So I need to still edit the process, time consuming. Although there's a positive side, which is there's an AI format as well, which this AI will auto create those questions. However, I still need to make sure the AI did their job well, but still it's time consuming. It tend to focus more on the competition, okay? And so learning will be jeopardized here, you know. So rather than the students get more learning, they become competitive. And I remember some of my students in the past, they started fighting, especially when I incorporated prizes, you know. So some of them, I remember they were walking away when they lost. So it can be really competitive. Grading the 4 E's for quizzes. Okay. That's what I'm gonna talk about. Number one is the excite. I graded A plus. In my experience, of course, it is fun and motivating. It makes learning fun, effectively, and motivates students. It has really strong visual aids, as you can see in an animated photo. There's also varied game options. You can choose true or false, multiple choice, and as I mentioned earlier, if you don't want to do online, you can switch it to paper based, but you are scanning it through your phone while they're using their paper to flip around the QR code. So that QR code again has a multiple choice A, B, C, or D. Whichever answer they choose during your interaction with them, okay, or the quiz that you project the projector, and then they will flip that around. Um, that's A plus, excite, and educate. I put it A minus because I have one cons here, but I'm gonna talk about pros. It caters different various learning styles. I mentioned reading, listening, and visual. Those are three things. And as students learn the best when they have incorporated like those senses, right? Also, like what I mentioned is also about case study base. It could be a case study base. That's why you include analytical questions and critical thinking. Let's say, for example, in nursing or in healthcare or anything like even in mathematics, right? You can incorporate it here. It can be aligned with your daily learning objective, as I mentioned, right? So that's educating. Okay. And also, this approach also incorporate the Bloom's taxonomy. Like, let's say, for example, if you're focusing on the knowledge and comprehensions, let's say you are just wanting the student to define a terminology, a specific terminology that you could put on that quiz. Okay. So that's emphasizing knowledge and comprehension. And if you want to go more analytical, as I mentioned earlier, it could be case study based question that you can incorporate, and the AI can help you actually to do this. The cons here is it can focus on the competition rather than the education, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, the learning can be jeopardized. That's one of the negative. That's why I put A minus, but still good. Next is engagement, A minus. So again, there's one cons. There's certain elements here, such as customized question, right? You can choose whether true or false, multiple choice question. Okay, it is more lively, meaning to say, this is real-time engagement. It emphasizes how quizzes provides immediate feedback and rewards to students, right? Let's say, for example, you're doing a multiple choice question. After the first question, you can do the discussion right after. Or perhaps you put an essay question, then you can do a discussion afterwards. So it boosts participation. There could be a cons, which can be challenging for learners with limited computer skills. So that's the challenge for that, for engagement. That's why I put A minus. Last is evaluation. I put B plus. Okay. So as you can see here, there's a lot of cons, more than I would say equal pros and cons. So I'll start with pros, okay? So as pros, it is accessible to all devices. As I mentioned earlier, it could be from smartphone, iPhones, iPads, anything, or laptops. Very easy to use, an excellent icebreaker after your PowerPoint lecture. You can use, let's say after 30 minutes of lecture, you can use quizzes after, to break the ice. Maybe like 10 questions, few minutes to work. Best to use both for formative, as I mentioned, instant feedback, like my example earlier. After each question, you can discuss it with the student. And after lecture, the whole PowerPoint, you can also do that as well to see what the students learn in the end of your lecture. There's a problem though in cons. It is an overuse problem. There's a computer tech issue, as mentioned, or people might not be accessible to the internet. They don't have access to the internet, maybe due to the problems or internet issues. It is not designed to evaluate, mostly assessment, and it's limited time frame. Okay, because you don't want to reach plateau. I remember before students reach plateau before when I went over, like I think I did the quizzes for an hour, so it wasn't really good. So my evaluation is B plus. In conclusion, according to Nograha et al. 2021, students have a positive attitude toward using quizzes for online assessments. The fun gaming features make it easier for them to complete the question. It's also easy to access, and again, it is an excellent formative assessment tool. And these are my reference. Okay, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.